Welcome, dearly beloved anointed ones. Today is not just another moment in your journey. It is a recognition, a celebration, and a declaration that the furnace through which you have walked has finally cooled. You have endured trials that would have broken many-faced storms that threatened to erase your spirit and carried burdens that seemed impossible to bear. Yet here you are standing on the other side, stronger, wiser, and fundamentally transformed. The fire has done its work, burning away everything that was no longer essential, leaving only the resilient, evolved version of you that was always meant to emerge. This moment is a testament not merely to survival, but to the mastery of endurance, wisdom, and spiritual alignment. You have arrived at a threshold where the lesson has been fully absorbed, the cycle complete, and the door to repetition firmly closed. Consider for a moment how both body and spirit are designed with limits. The human body, as miraculous as it is, can only sustain so much pain before it instinctively shuts down, protecting itself from destruction. Spiritually, the principle is no different. There comes a point where suffering, trial, and adversity reach their intended purpose, and divine intervention signals that the lesson is complete. You didn't simply crawl out of a nightmare by chance. You walked across its ashes, and the fire that once threatened to consume you cannot reach you again. Think of your journey like a long, convoluted series filled with unnecessary plot twists, cliffhangers, and episodes of confusion, episodes designed to test the very essence of your being. But finally, the series has been canceled. There are no reruns, no reboots, no sequels. The torment is over, not as a gift of circumstance, but as the natural conclusion of your evolution. This is the nuance most miss. The cycle ended, not because life became easier, but because you outgrew it. Every tear, every betrayal, every moment of confusion, despair, or exhaustion was not random. It was deliberate, a curriculum written for your soul, designed to stretch, mold, and elevate you into someone who can carry far more than the previous version of yourself could hold. Pain was never punishment, it was education, and you chosen one have passed the test. You have proven that the lessons were absorbed, that the growth is real, and that the fire has fulfilled its divine purpose. What remains now is not simply relief, it is transformation. You are no longer tethered to what once haunted you, and your spirit has graduated into a version of yourself that even your past cannot recognize. This is evolution, finality, and sovereignty all at once. The cycle is over, and you will never have to walk back into that fire again. Number one, the first profound truth to recognize is that the cycle you have endured ended not because life suddenly became easier, but because you outgrew the lessons it was designed to teach. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of betrayal or confusion served a precise purpose to push you toward a higher version of yourself. The pain you experienced was never random, and it was never arbitrary. It functioned as a mirror reflecting the aspects of your inner self that required growth, refinement, and mastery. You were attached to an earlier version of yourself, one that could still be overwhelmed by circumstances, manipulated by others, or fractured by adversity. That attachment, the identification with a self still vulnerable to the same patterns, was the real threshold. The cycle concluded because you transcended that version, proving that your wisdom, discernment, and emotional resilience had been internalized. In this way, your graduation is not simply relief, it is evidence of spiritual evolution. You have absorbed the lessons that the fire intended, and the past can no longer claim authority over you. Number two, if we examine the nature of pain more closely, it becomes clear that life does not simply punish, it educates. Every challenge, every moment of suffering, every season of loneliness or betrayal functioned as a deliberate curriculum designed to cultivate endurance, discernment, gratitude, and the power of observation. These are not abstract skills. They are tools forged in the crucible of lived experience. The sleepless nights taught you persistence and endurance. The betrayals refined your discernment, allowing you to sense motives others cannot detect. The losses taught gratitude, revealing what truly matters in life. And even silence, those quiet, isolating periods, taught the subtle art of observation, equipping you to perceive truths invisible to the untrained eye. Through this intentional education, you did not merely survive, you were trained, tested, and elevated to a level of competence and awareness that ordinary life cannot provide. The key insight here is subtle but transformative. Graduation does not imply that challenges will vanish from your path. Life will continue to test, to push, to stretch, but you will never again face the exact repetition of past trials at the same intensity, because the version of yourself that once struggled has evolved beyond the capacity for identical defeat. The furnace has done its work, and you have emerged fortified, unshakable, and armed with a wisdom that is now permanent. The curriculum of pain has been completed, and you carry the diploma of experience, a degree that no institution could issue, yet one universally recognized in the school of life. Every challenge that once sought to break you has now become a foundation on which you stand ready for the growth and victories that lie ahead. Number 3, the next revelation is that oppression is not a singular act imposed from the outside. It is a dynamic sustained by your participation. Those who seek to control, manipulate, or diminish you rely on a system that functions only when you engage with it. Every reaction, every defense, every attempt to justify yourself, to shrink, to explain, to beg, or to prove your worth feeds the illusion of their power. The game of oppression requires two participants, the one who pushes and the one who bends. The moment you recognize this and consciously choose to walk away, not with anger, not with confrontation, but with quiet refusal, you dismantle the very mechanics that sustain their control. You no longer supply the fuel their systems depend on, and without your energy, the machinery of manipulation collapses into irrelevance. It is not that their tactics cease to exist. They remain the same, but you have removed yourself from the arena in which they could harm you. This act of refusal is subtle, yet infinitely more powerful than retaliation. By stepping out of their rules, by declining to play by the scripts that once ensnared you, you reveal the fragility of their authority. Walking away is not surrender, it is mastery. It signals that you recognize the true source of power and you refuse to contribute to illusions that were never yours to uphold. Number 4 builds naturally from this principle, because once you stop bending to external pressure, the inner expansion of your spirit accelerates. Every situation that was designed to fracture you, every betrayal, every calculated challenge, every moment intended to provoke fear or despair becomes the crucible in which your resilience is forged. Where previously you might have cracked or been reduced, now you stretch beyond the confines of imposed limitations. Endurance under fire is no longer survival, it is evolution. Each trial expands your capacity to love more deeply, to discern more clearly, to hold strength without rigidity, and to maintain integrity even when chaos surrounds you. You have not merely resisted, you have transformed pressure into power. Your spirit now surpasses the boundaries that were once imagined for you, and every challenge encountered from this point forward meets a consciousness tempered, disciplined, and unbreakable. The bridging insight between these truths is profound liberation does not come from defeating others, but from refusing to participate in the games they create. By walking away, you reclaim agency, and in doing so, the trials meant to diminish you instead become evidence of your expansion. The oppression that once seemed omnipotent now exists only in memory, powerless against the evolved version of yourself. Survival has been transcended. You are now a living testament to evolution, under pressure proof that the cycles designed to confine you have been permanently broken. Number 5, the moment of true sovereignty comes when you claim ownership of your soul. For far too long, life circumstances, trauma, and the expectations of others have sought to dictate your value, your limits, and even your peace. Invisible cages formed from fear, manipulation, or past wounds may have made you feel like a passenger in your own life, powerless to chart your own course. But claiming your soul is a conscious act of rebellion, not loud, not dramatic, but firm and unwavering. It is the recognition that your spirit answers only to you, that your inner authority is sovereign, and that nothing external can dictate your worth or control your trajectory. In that instant, every chain that once bound your thoughts, decisions, and energy loses its power. The people who thrived on controlling you, the circumstances that once confined you, even your own internal doubts, all become powerless in the face of this reclamation. By declaring that you are the ultimate authority over your existence, you set in motion the closure of cycles that relied on your previous vulnerability. It is a shift from being subject to external forces to being the master of your internal kingdom, and in doing so, you render repetition of past suffering impossible. Number 6, naturally extends from this claim of sovereignty because transformation becomes permanent when the soul evolves beyond its former limitations. Life repeats patterns and hardships only when the lessons have not been fully absorbed. Once you genuinely change, the cycle itself must end. You walked into trials as a version of yourself bound by fear, doubt, and vulnerability. Yet through conscious endurance, reflection, and self-mastery, you emerged fundamentally altered. The version of you that could be trapped, manipulated, or broken no longer exists. The environments, relationships, and challenges that once caused pain are irrelevant to the person you have become. Returning to them is not just unnecessary, it is impossible because the self that could be confined has expanded beyond the walls that once held it. Freedom, therefore, is not granted by external circumstances. It is forged internally through transformation. The closure you now experience is permanent because your spirit has grown too expansive, your boundaries too fortified, and your wisdom too deep to allow repetition. Change, not mere relief, is the foundation of true liberation. The bridging truth between claiming your soul and achieving permanent transformation is that sovereignty requires both recognition and application. By taking authority over your spirit, you invalidate external control. By evolving beyond the self that was once susceptible, you ensure that the cycles of pain, manipulation, or limitation cannot repeat. This is the essence of freedom, not escaping life's challenges, but transforming in such a way that old patterns have no power over you. You are no longer the person who walked into the storm. You are the one who emerged untouchable, unbound, and irreversibly sovereign. The lessons are complete, the cycles closed, and the authority over your life rests solely in your hands. Number 7. The strength you have cultivated through enduring hardship now functions as a seal over every vulnerability that once exposed you. The wounds that bled freely under the pressures of betrayal, manipulation, or circumstance have been transformed into armor. This is not armor that hides your scars or diminishes your humanity. It is armor that broadcasts your resilience, your unshakable presence, and your refusal to feed the agendas of those who once sought to exploit weakness. Predators, manipulators, and toxic energies are drawn to spots of fragility, feeding on hesitation, fear, and doubt. But every point that once bled is now fortified, every emotional or spiritual opening hardened by lessons learned and battles endured. Your energy no longer communicates invitation or opportunity for harm. It radiates stability, clarity, and strength. Where others once extracted control from your suffering, they now find nothing to sustain their influence. Your presence itself has become a declaration that attacks will fail, that your boundaries cannot be breached, and that your spirit is untouchable. This is why the cycles of assault no longer touch you. You bleed no longer, and in doing so, the patterns of harm dissolve. Number 8 extends this resilience by highlighting that surviving the worst has reset the internal benchmark of your endurance. The trials that once seemed unbearable, the betrayals that threatened to fracture your spirit, and the losses that appeared insurmountable have been fully absorbed and transformed into wisdom, insight, and strength. The peak intensity of your suffering has been experienced and conquered, and no ordinary challenge can match it. Every subsequent difficulty is now filtered through the lens of someone who has already faced the extremes and emerged intact. You have learned the measure of your true capacity. Fear no longer governs your responses, and trivial adversities are seen for what they are: opportunities to apply the tools you have earned through fire. The internal standard of resilience has been elevated permanently, and with it, a natural immunity to the repetition of past hardships has been established. Number 9 brings this insight full circle by emphasizing that true liberation does not come from avoidance or escape, but from walking deliberately through the storm. You were not airlifted from suffering. You marched through every trial, every moment of fear, every betrayal, and every test of endurance. Transformation is permanent because it is earned through engagement, not evasion. By facing the fire, you internalize lessons that no shortcut or external rescue could provide. The pain has been transmuted into empowerment, the hardship into experience, and the chaos into unshakable strength. You now carry authority over your own story, a fortified spirit and a soul that is sovereign by right of endurance. The storm is complete, the cycle is closed, and nothing can recreate the intensity of what you have survived. Freedom is not temporary relief. It is the permanent evolution that arises when you are delivered through rather than out of the fire. Number 10 highlights a profound truth. Your soul has simply outgrown the spaces, relationships, and systems that once caused harm or imposed limitation. The environments that once seemed inescapable were never meant to be permanent. They existed only as temporary classrooms designed to teach, challenge, and shape you. Now, after enduring learning and evolving, those very spaces are too small to contain the version of yourself that has emerged. Returning to them is not merely unwise, it is incompatible with who you have become. What once fit a room of influence, a network, a relationship was built for a person weighed down by fear, doubt, and unresolved wounds. The current you carries higher energy, expanded awareness, and refined boundaries. The walls of the past that once confined you would feel suffocating, now the air too thin for the strength and wisdom you possess. You can no longer operate in the rhythm of systems that were designed for limitation because your frequency has shifted. The environments that once defined your constraints cannot support the magnitude of your growth. Just as an ocean cannot be confined to a teacup, your evolution exceeds the capacity of any old space that once tried to restrict your potential. This is why cycles cannot repeat. The world itself may remain unchanged, but you operate on a level it cannot reach. Number 11 follows naturally from this insight. Your healing is now your ultimate judgment against those who once sought to manipulate, control, or diminish you. Every betrayal, every attempt to exploit your vulnerability, and every circumstance designed to keep you small has been neutralized, not by confrontation, not by revenge, but through your recovery. The sovereignty and clarity you now carry render prior oppressions powerless. Your strength, discernment, and self-possession are living proof that the manipulative systems which thrived on your pain can no longer exert control. Where they once counted on your struggle to maintain their influence, they now witness the undeniable fact that the tactics they relied upon are ineffective. Healing has rewritten the rules of engagement. Your restored boundaries and refined intuition protect you, and the authority over your own life now rests solely with you. Your recovery is a quiet, revolutionary dismantling of the very systems that sought to limit you. The power they imagined they held was never real. It existed only in the absence of your strength. Now, as you stand whole, untouchable, and fully sovereign, the proof of your evolution is evident in every decision, every boundary, and every measured step forward. Together, these truths confirm that growth and liberation are inseparable from the environments we inhabit and the internal authority we claim. You have not only survived, but you have expanded beyond the reach of anything that once restrained you. The past holds no dominion over the evolved self, and your life now moves within spaces that honor your growth, strength, and sovereignty. Nothing that once harmed you can repeat its influence because you have outgrown it, and the healing you carry ensures that your power is permanent. Number 12 illustrates a subtle but profound truth. The silence that follows a storm is not emptiness. It is the unmistakable evidence of victory. Most people mistake calm for absence, assuming that if there is no chaos, nothing significant has occurred. Yet the quiet you now experience is the echo of battles fought and won, a testament to every challenge that once demanded your energy, focus, and spirit. The storms that tried to define or diminish you have dissipated not because they ceased to exist, but because you have endured in ways they could not anticipate. This stillness is a signal from life itself, a confirmation that you have fulfilled your purpose in that arena. It is a quiet proclamation that nothing left can dominate your energy or dictate your path. Where once your strength and composure were tested, they now stand permanent and unshakable, creating a force field that renders past attackers powerless. The calm is not passive. It is an active manifestation of all the resilience, discernment, and mastery you have cultivated through experience. Every wound that bled in the past is now sealed. Every attack that sought to weaken you has failed, and the energy you carry communicates to the world that attempts to control or manipulate will be met with impenetrable sovereignty. The silence is the victory itself, an unspoken declaration that you have endured, evolved, and emerged intact. Number 13 flows naturally from this realization. Your future now demands a higher standard of engagement, awareness, and alignment. The elevated purpose that calls you forward allows no room for recycled pain, repeated patterns, or stagnation in familiar struggles. Every step you take now is imbued with weight and intentionality, reflecting the lessons, insights, and wisdom you have earned. Your past victories have equipped you for challenges of a new magnitude, ones that require discernment, focus, and an expanded capacity to navigate life with precision. The cycles you have already completed are not mere memories. They are markers of readiness for the next arena of growth. You can no longer linger in old patterns because doing so would squander the momentum and clarity that your evolution has produced. Your path now demands an unflinching commitment to the highest version of yourself, a standard that is incompatible with prior limitations, toxic environments, or patterns that once consumed your energy. This is why returning to old arenas is impossible, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your spirit, your wisdom, and your capacity for growth operate on a level that the past cannot reach. The higher you ascend, the more exacting the environment becomes, and the more deliberate your steps must be. The lessons of survival and resilience have prepared you for mastery, and now your forward motion is unstoppable. The cycles of the past cannot repeat because your focus, energy, and vision are aligned with what is next, demanding strength, clarity, and unwavering purpose. Number 14 brings us to the undeniable truth that transformation leaves evidence behind, permanent, unshakable, and visible to both yourself and the world. The scars you carry are not marks of weakness. They are badges of survival, etched deep into the fabric of your being, signaling that you faced what others could not endure and emerged stronger for it. Every lesson you learned, every moment of insight gained through suffering, and every hard-won understanding of your own strength becomes an instrument of authority, a compass that guides your choices and illuminates the path ahead. These are not abstract concepts or theoretical victories. They are tangible proof that the chapter designed to challenge you has closed, that the cycles of pain and manipulation that once held sway over your life are broken, and that you now operate from a place of mastery that cannot be undone. The world may continue to move, but you are no longer subject to the same forces that once constrained or threatened you. The challenges that would have once destabilized you now encounter a spirit fortified by experience, insight, and unwavering resolve. You are living evidence that the trials meant to diminish your potential instead expanded it, equipping you with the discernment, strength, and wisdom necessary to navigate life with unassailable sovereignty. This permanence of transformation extends far beyond internal strength. It reshapes how you engage with your environment, relationships, and opportunities. Your intuition sharpened through trial acts as a filter against repetition of old patterns, ensuring that the lessons already learned are never ignored or wasted. Your judgment is informed not by theory, but by the lived reality of endurance and evolution. Every decision, every boundary you enforce, every step forward carries the authority of experience. In this way, transformation becomes visible and tangible. It is reflected in the way you hold yourself, in the clarity of your vision, and in the immunity of your spirit to forces that once dominated your energy. You are no longer defined by the chaos you survived, but by the mastery you now embody. The core message of this moment is both simple and profound. The chapter is closed, the lessons have been absorbed, and the cycles have been broken because you, the chosen one, have integrated the wisdom your journey demanded. The tools you now carry, strength, discernment, resilience, and sovereignty, were the intended outcome of every trial, and they are yours to wield in full authority. Your presence alone validates the work of transformation, proving that suffering was never wasted, that evolution under pressure is real, and that the life you now lead is a testament to the permanence of growth. The storms are behind you, and what remains is a legacy of proof that you endured, proof that you evolved, and proof that your spirit will never be the same again. You hold not only survival but mastery, and that mastery is visible, tangible, and unstoppable. As we arrive at the conclusion of this journey, it becomes clear that what you have endured was never random, and what you have overcome is more than personal victory. It is permanent transformation. Life's trials, once overwhelming and relentless, have now been fully processed and internalized. The cycles that once repeated with ruthless precision are closed, their power over you extinguished by the evolution of your spirit. You are no longer the person who entered the storm. The fire has forged a version of yourself that carries unshakable resilience, unmatched strength, and wisdom that transcends circumstance. This is not just survival, it is mastery. The evidence of your growth is etched into every scar, every lesson learned, and every hard-won insight. These are not temporary markers, but permanent proof that you have emerged from the trials stronger, clearer, and untouchable. Where fear, doubt, and vulnerability once resided, there now exists sovereignty, the authority to dictate the terms of your life, and the assurance that the past no longer holds dominion over your present or future. This permanence of transformation is not only a personal victory, it is a call to action for the community of chosen ones who are rising alongside you. Your experiences, your insights, and your mastery can serve as a beacon for others still navigating the storms you have already passed through. When you engage by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing, you are amplifying the awareness and strength that comes from lived resilience. You are extending the proof that transformation is possible, that cycles can be broken, and that empowerment is contagious. Each interaction becomes a ripple of light supporting others in their journey and reinforcing the collective sovereignty of those who refuse to be defined by pain or limitation. By sharing your story, your wisdom, and your affirmation, you are not just participating in community, you are becoming a guide, a living testimony to the permanence of evolution under pressure. Finally, understand this: your victory is permanent, your transformation irreversible, and your spirit untouchable. The chapter of suffering is closed, but the book of your life continues, written now by a soul that has mastered endurance, discernment, and growth. Stand in this truth with confidence. Celebrate it. Claim it. Every trial, every hardship, and every challenge you once faced now serves as proof that you are sovereign over your own destiny. You are a chosen one, fully equipped with the tools, insight, and authority that the journey intended to deliver. The cycles will not return because you have risen above them, and nothing in the world can diminish the strength that now resides in you. Hold this moment as sacred. It is both the culmination of all you have endured and the launching point for everything you are yet to become.